record to the computer. We are recording. So our group of panelists today are going to be three amazing agents. We have Sam Riley from our Clifton Park office. Sam is a burst of energy. If you've never met her, she is an amazing, amazing person. Last year, she did more transactions than she did the previous year. So year over year, she increases her numbers. And I do believe she is the newest associate broker. Did you do your course?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you did. So congratulations to Sam Riley on that. Christopher Donato from the Niskayuna office. He does sound like he should be a VJ or a DJ on an AM radio station. You'll notice that when you hear his voice. But again, much like Sam, wealth of knowledge, always willing, able to help, to learn, to coach, to teach, and to be coachable. And again, he has increased his numbers year over year over year. And he is now going through the course to become an associate broker as well. So congratulations and welcome.
Thank you.
Last but not least, we have our friend Darlene Bauer, who last year did a whopping, $3.9 million in business within her first 4 years, which is fantastic. And she's going to talk about today, working by referrals, working your systems and having your systems work for you. So without further ado, we're going to leave it open to the panelists today. And we're going to ask a question. And this is probably the most important question of the day to kickstart us. And we're going to lead with Chris Donato. Chris, what does the term lead generation mean to you?
It's how we generate business for ourselves. No one's going to do it for us. We are masters of our own destiny. And so a little hard work, a little perseverance, we can adapt and overcome anything. But basically, we have to generate our own leads. We have to find our own business.
That same question, I'm gonna give it to Sam Riley.
I think lead generation is about making connections, whether that's going to meetup.com and finding a group of people that like to just walk around a park, or joining like Darlene Bauer's part of a Rotary, or just, joining a gym, anything that really you can kind of get yourself out there. And whether you're immediately jumping in and saying, I'm a realtor, or just building those connections and even friendships with people and using that as a base for a COI.
Awesome. And as we go through this, everybody should be taking notes. There's going to be like a laundry list of things. There's going to be those aha moments. Sam was talking about her COI. We're going to go deeper into what that means and how to really cultivate your COI. And Darlene, what does lead generation mean to you?
To me, it's, it's all about figures. I get to talk and then I can't. It's all about planting seeds in your day-to-day life. So as you go about every day, you're generating leads in conversations you're having with your neighbor or your dental hygienist or whoever it happens to be. You're identifying yourself as a realtor, and often and just planting those seeds so they might grow later. It's not a quick thing, but it's just an everyday occurrence.
And you made a brilliant point earlier. As you go ahead in your everyday life, right? Every single day we have the opportunity to talk to somebody about real estate. I think it was Joe Sullivan who says something about being a secret agent and how we should not be secret agents. Everybody everybody you're in contact with should know that you are a real estate salesperson. So Chris, what are 2 forms of lead generation that these folks can do starting today?
Contacting your COI is huge, absolutely huge.
And let's pull that down. Let's dumb it down a little bit.
Okay.
What is COI?
That is your center of influence. Those are the people in your personal life, your everyday life. Sam and Darlene both mentioned, like friends and family, and Darlene even said your dental hygienist. Like, these are the people that every day that you need to. It's not their job to remember you're in real estate. It's our job to remind them.
That's a brilliant comment.
But I wish that I had worked on my COI in my first year. Everyone told me to do it, and I didn't feel comfortable with it. And the reality is get over yourself, because that's going to be a majority of your business every year. And my first year, I only closed one sale because I didn't contact my COI. And in 2019, I did contact my COI and I closed 12.
Awesome. So you're basically doing the things that were taught to you, but at a later time to make sure that you get those deals. And how are some ways that you can reach out to the COI, Sam?
I have, if you're reaching out and you're sending handwritten notes or a drip campaign via email, even pop buys, which is just selecting an area or something for that day. You have little, like for Easter, I know Darlene Bowers has peeps, and she makes really cute little note cards that say like reminding my peeps or whatever. It's really cute, and just goes and delivers them to people in her COI that are kind of close knit there. And just that gentle reminder that, hey, I'm in real estate and you have to remember me. So
Darlene, walk us through that process with the peeps. How did that start? What does it look like? And what is the end result?
The peeps were actually for a client. It was around Easter time, and I was looking for a specific home in a neighborhood for a buyer. And I went door to door with these peeps, and I said, I'm looking for a home for my peeps. And I got them a house in that neighborhood.
Wait,
It was awesome. It was so cool.
That is awesome.
Yeah. And then I sold, pardon?
Say that one more time.
I was looking for a home for my peeps. And I think that Morgan helped me with it. Actually, Morgan is she's a pop by expert. She's got such great ideas. But yeah, I bought these little packets of the little Easter peeps, and I put them in a clear sleeve, and I went door to door in this neighborhood that my clients wanted to live in. And I found them a house, got them into it, sold their other house that was listed with somebody else, but they loved me. It was just great. And oh, thanks. But not only, so I got them into a house, but then I maintained that relationship with not everybody that I talked to in that neighborhood that I delivered peeps to, but the people I really felt like I connected with. I put them on my COI. I followed up with a handwritten note. Thank you for taking the time to talk with me. And that's actually, it was the follow-up that it got me the sale for them.
That's amazing.
Somebody called me while I was away on a trip and said, you'd stopped at my house. The neighbor down the road is about to put their house on the market. So it was great.
So by you doing a good deed for your original buyer client, you ended up getting how many sales from that transaction or from that that market?
So we have these.
Oh, I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Done.
Scott Cross, can you mute yourself, please? Thanks, bud.
Can you say that again?
So from that marketing campaign, how many deals did that turn into, and how many connections do you think that turned into as well?
It turned into 2 deals and probably 20 connections. But those people, the peeps, my peeps, I'm still very close with. I don't think they'll use anybody else in the future. They sent me a Christmas card this year. I've moved furniture at their house. I do a lot for them, but I like it. It's genuine. I don't mind doing it because they're so good to me.
That's all. And by show of hands right now, people that are in the business with buyer clients, how many are going through the process of not finding a home for their client because the inventory is so low? And there's a lot of agents who are raising your hand. So this little effort by Darlene, you should all be doing that. Identify the areas, identify the markets that your seller or buyers want to go to, and just put out little blurbs to the folks. Send peeps. So I don't care if you do the peep thing. I don't know if it's trademark and copywritten by you, Darlene, but we might have to use it up north and over here in Niskayuna. But that in and of itself is worth the price of admission. So fantastic job. And as we're talking about COI, what are
Sorry, I have a question about that, Ryan.
Oh gosh. Okay. What's the question, Barrera?
Because I've heard so many mixed things about Popeyes right now. I mean, do you think people would feel safer? I mean, obviously if we wear a mask, but if we're handing them something, like wearing gloves. Like, I don't know. I don't want to piss people off and be like, well, I definitely don't want to use her because she's door knocking in a pandemic.
Right.
And
I
I know
agree.
Brian has an answer for that because his hand is raised and he's going to give us some brilliance right now. So Brian, what's your take on that?
Well, one of the things that I've seen done is, and Gina makes it's an unbelievably good question. I've seen two things done that were very, very helpful. One is I would never hand anyone anything. I think leaving something for someone, because the experts now say that we don't have to clean off and sanitize our groceries, for example. My wife works at a hospital. The surfaces are not the concern anymore, although the new variant could be. The other thing that I've seen happen that was really clever is that the pop-by included a little hand sanitizer, and it was right with the pop-by. And it was just such a cute thing. It's like, I kind of care about you. I value you. And I also value your safety and my safety. So I'm not seeing you face to face. I'm dropping this off. And if it's inclement weather or you're worried about leaving it, there's no reason why you can't text something and say, I'm walking up to your door, not to see you, but to leave something for you. And they get to see you. More and more people get to see you. And you leave it there. And it's such a nice gesture. Here's the other thing I just want to say quickly is, Darlene, one of the things that screamed out at me from what you said, and not to gild a lily, but it was absolutely powerful from when I first met you, is the word or the concept of authenticity. More than ever in my lifetime anyway, is that authenticity critically important. I have been with you, Darlene, or shortly after, or spoken to you shortly after. You've done things like move furniture or helped people and done things. Never has your connection been this quid pro quo that I'm only doing this because I want to you to fill my bank account.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
I think that authenticity is so critical.
That was one of the things I wanted to mention, is that you have to do things even when you're not getting paid for them. And it's a really okay. It's not about our paycheck. It's about a client finding a home. And so you really have to make it about them. And I know that's really hard when you're, you've got to pay the rent or the mortgage, but it's got to be about our client.
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
And what are some ways, Chris, that we can keep in touch with our COI? Because we've been talking about that for quite some time now, and it kind of went down the wormhole of a Popeye and the peeps and everything, and doing right by your buyer clients. Let's say past clients. How can we keep in touch with them without seeming, what's your tactic on that?
Oh, it's so many different ways. I mean, your COI, even though we're in a state of emergency, it's totally okay to pick up the phone and call your COI. Just to say hello. I mean, you're not, the odds are they don't have a house to buy or sell at the moment, because otherwise they probably would have called you. So just, pick up the phone, chat with them for a couple minutes, tell them you were thinking about them. Social media is an incredible way to stay in contact with people that are really far away. I mean, even the people that aren't in our state, they should still be on your COI. Friends and family all the way out in California, friends and family, if you have that are overseas, like everyone should be on your COI that I have a couple referrals out in Denver right now that I'm probably going to get paid on if they hire the agent that I set my cousin up with. So, everything, like there's just handwritten notes. I heard Sam and Darlene both mention that. That's a great way to reach out to your COI. They love that stuff. They just love to know that you're thinking about them.
And the power of the handwritten note is amazing. We all get junk mail every single day, and we probably throw it right to the trash or right to the recyclables. But if we have a hand addressed envelope or a hand addressed anything, and we open it up, that is authentic. That is you taking the time to write down your thoughts and your well wishes for your client. And it is so received by our folks that it's worth its weight in gold with that. And I know that you mentioned social media earlier, and I'm going to kick it over to Sam, who is a social media whiz kid. Sam, what are some good tips and tricks for the folks on here? I'm mostly looking at Jim Ambrose, who for the last 2 years, I've been trying to get him to work on his social media. So social media 101 specifically for my friend Jim Ambrose.
I think one of the biggest things, I mean, Brian kind of talked about this a long time ago, but it's like, get over the video thing. Like, pictures are worth a lot more on social media than just text, and videos, it's been shown that does even better in different social media posts and stuff like that. And Brian always said, you look the way you look, get over it, like it doesn't matter.
You sound the way you
that
sound.
way in person or on a social media video. So it's important, I think, to share the things that we've learned from Phil or George Slingerland or different people like that, from each other, different statistics or just something cool. I know I've been reading different articles and finding decorating tips. I've seen different agents from our office do on Instagram stories. They'll do like a this or that, like, do you like this vanity in a bathroom or this vanity in a bathroom? And different interacting things. You want people to comment, and just more than a like, the more people that comment, the more whatever the algorithm is now, the more people see it, and you get more comments and more people see it. But just making it fun and not making it so, are you looking to buy or sell? Are you looking to buy or sell? Like, people will block you for that. So something interactive and fun, and pictures or video, I think, are huge.
And that's the thing that everybody should take away from this, is that, you want to be, as my friend Dr. McKenna says, be intentional, right? That's one of the themes that has been, taught from Brian to myself to now some of the agents here in Niskayuna, but be intentional. And the best way to be intentional on social media is have a call for action. Sam mentioned it earlier, where do you like this vanity or that vanity? What you're doing is you're getting the folks engaged. Once you have that engagement, then you can start commenting back, liking, sharing, and having a conversation with folks. Seamus Barron, who moved to, I believe, Oregon over on the West Coast, would do this potato chip challenge or snack challenge. And it was just getting people to comment on what snack they liked more. Had nothing to do with real estate at all. But based on that, based on his name being out there in social media, having the engagement, people started to realize that, oh my goodness, this guy is also a real estate sales professional. And now he has clients based on a potato chip challenge. It was absolutely wild. It was a great marketing theme, and it worked. So think of something creative like that. Go outside the box. Don't be scared of social media. It's not going to bite you. Just make sure you post stuff that's well received, stay away from the obvious things, and have those call for actions. That way you can have the amount of engagement that you want.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So when you're uploading these things, would you recommend uploading into your private Facebook account, quote unquote, or like a professional one?
Okay, so we're going to leave that to the panel, and then I will give my opinion on it as well. So Donato, the question is, when you're uploading or when you're posting, should you post a private or business page?
I'm going to say both. I'm going to say 30% business on your personal page, 70% personal, and then on your Facebook business page, 70% business, 30% personal.
It's weird. I don't know where you came up with those numbers, but it's weird.
I learned it from watching you.
Darlene, what's your take on the social media business versus personal?
I just because I'm lacking technical skills, I post it on my personal page and then share it to my business page. But I haven't done an awful lot with social media. I've been very inconsistent. I need to work on that because I know I could have much better results if I were more consistent. And I like Brian taught me about the 30% personal, 30% business, and 30% community focused, like a service. Like there's a flu vaccine clinic down the road this week. So I actually use I'm a Rotarian, and I manage the Rotary Facebook page. And so I kind of use that because it says it's posted by Darlene Prentice Bauer on behalf of Rotary. So my name is still getting out there, even though I'm posting Rotary things. So I like to do, like my local fire department was looking for volunteers. I shared that to my Rotary page, not my page, because I just That's how I do it. That's the thing. Everybody does it a little bit differently. Do what works for you and do what you'll do.
And that's a great point. You know, everything works different for everybody. We're going to talk about that a little bit towards the end of, you know, what we should all take away from this. And Sam, what's your take on business page versus personal page?
I kind of changed what I used to. I used to share a lot on my business page and share it to my personal page. Just because I'm friends with people that live in different states and I don't want to kind of turn them off to seeing things that don't really affect them. But with everything going on now, I have only been posting on my personal page and trying to make it something kind of fun instead of, you know, just straight statistics or whatever. Or if I do have something like that, I'll turn it into a video. But I am really only posting on my personal page right now because I do want all eyes to see it instead of just the likes on my business page.
Awesome. And I think we all agree that, you know, both business and personal page are needed. Again, with the theme of being authentic, when I first got my license 8 years ago, if I was to post something about market statistics or, you know, interest rate or, you know, any of that stuff, my immediate friends and family would say that's absolutely not genuine to who you are right now. So instead, I would post, you know, fun stuff. There's a great website. It's called The Lighter Side of Real Estate. And it kind of pokes fun at some things. There's a house that has an electrical outlet in the shower. And, you know, again, you're just trying to think outside the box, get creative with different things where, you know, you can have the engagement from your folks and your friends and family. So a side note, I know we talked a lot about Facebook, but also the unsung hero is Instagram. You know, everybody should have an Instagram page. Everybody should have an Instagram profile. You know, post on Instagram stories, post on Facebook stories, and have everything be a layered approach. Don't just say, I'm going to only go on Facebook business or I'm only going to go on Facebook personal. You want to have everything there. And you also want to have your name. So for instance, on my Instagram name, my handle is Ryan Clark _ real estate. So now anytime I comment, like, share, make reference of anything, it's that subtle reminder like, oh yeah, that's Ryan Clark, the real estate guy. So everybody should set up their own Instagram, have it something to do with, you know, sales, you know, Nell Fedora sells homes, or, you know, Rick Neal, your Queensberry agent, something specific to who you are and what you do. Now, Darlene, we're going to ask you some questions because I know you made reference to the Rotary earlier. Explain what that is, kind of how that came to fruition and how it's worked for your business.
Rotary's been fantastic for me. So Rotary is an international civic organization like Lions or Kiwanis. They meet weekly, which sounds like so much, and it is, but I think that's part of the success for me. My grandfather founded our local Rotary Club, and so I remember the day of my GCAR orientation, I was making notes and thinking, oh my God, this is so overwhelming. And I wrote on that piece of paper, join Rotary. And I'd never had the time to do it before, or really the desire to join Rotary before, but it's a family legacy. My grandfather was really well known in the area. I can build off of that family name, which that sounds kind of weird, but as long as I'm doing it, doing a good job with it, he'd be thrilled. So I joined Rotary and I really integrated into my club. Again, they meet every week. For the first, 3 years I was in Rotary, we met in person, and it's a challenge and to get there. But I started volunteering for different things, and now I'm president nominee or president-elect or something. I'm going to be president soon, and that frightens me. But I will figure out how to manage it. And I've gotten so much. Most of my business comes from my Rotary Club, from referrals. There's only 34 people in my club. So when you think about that small number of people is impacting me so much. And it's this authentic, they know me. They think of me when they think of real estate, and I only market to a handful of them still, which at this point, 4 years in, I feel like I can probably market to all of them. But again, I really felt like it had to be authentic. I didn't want them to see me as, oh, she's joined us because she wants to increase sales for her business. It couldn't be that. It had to be me. I want to integrate into the community. And so now I'm running a food bank program, and I'm running a bottle return program, and I'm the chair of the scholarship committee. And when I tell you it's exhausting, it is, but I look at my Rotary time as part of my real estate work. It's all part of my brand, and it's been so successful. I'm the only realtor in my club. Another realtor joined and left because they kept, like, there was one, we meet on Zoom now, and there was one week that 4 different people in the club gave me a real estate shout out during our hour-and-a-half long meeting. So it's, you can't pay for that kind of support.
And you made reference to it earlier, and I think that's the theme of this whole conversation of being genuine and being authentic. You didn't.
I love it. I've really grown to, it's become a huge part of my life, and I'm grateful that I've got them. So, excuse me, sorry.
Might be the beta fish in the background getting all choked up.
I do. They're really special to me. They are my people. Some of them are 90, and that's okay, because let me tell you what, those 90-year-olds they're gonna refer people to me too, because they know so many people. They've been in the community for so long. They're community leaders. And I'm now going to join the Business and Professional Association, which only meets once a month. And I'm going to kind of work those two together, because those two organizations partner in my community. And so, I think it's great. It's good. It's worked for me.
And that's awesome. And again, I encourage everybody to be authentic and be genuine. Don't be that sleazy snake oil salesperson. We're not used car salesmen, and no disrespect. I know that Rick used to sell cars, and he's amazing at it. And it has a bad connotation and everything, but let's just be authentic, because at the end of the day, we are helping people purchase the largest investment of their life, whether it's a $60,000 home or a $6 million home. That is their home. That is their pride and joy. That's what they earned. That's what they saved up for. And they have a choice of realtors. There's 3,200 realtors in the MLS or something along those lines. You need to differentiate yourself and stand out. And the best way to do that is through authenticity and being genuine. So absolutely great points. I encourage everybody to join a Rotary or a Lions Club or a club that means something to you. Darlene didn't go to the Rotary Club because she liked it. Her grandfather was the one that founded it. And it meant something to her, and people can see that, and they can see that in her eyes when she talks about it. And when she spends her Saturdays doing the food drives and things for the club. So great points, Darlene, and amazing job. We're going to leave it to Sam and Chris now. I know that when we talked yesterday, you made reference to expired listings and for sale by owners. They are difficult, they are tricky, but what are some of the tips and tricks that these folks can use to acquire them? We're going to leave with you, Donato. What's your process?
So with this state of emergency right now, we can't pick up the phone and cold call these people, which I've always felt that I'm very strong on the phone. So before this state of emergency, that's what I would double down on, is the amount of phone calls that I would make. So I've kind of had to adapt and overcome. And now I send letters out to these people, because that's what, one of the prospecting methods that we're allowed to do right now. I'm trying to get to a place where I'm sending out 75 to 100 letters a week. With for sale by owners and expireds, it's kind of a numbers game with the amount of contacts that you make. But much to Darlene's point, the information and advice that I offer these people free of charge, no obligation, is genuine and sincere. Like when I contact a for sale by owner and offer them advice and information to help them sell it on their own, I'm really going to give them that advice and information that, if they follow, will help them. And then, stay in contact with them. And if and when they get tired of trying on their own, Ryan, I think you said that the average for sale by owner tries for 62 days. Is that right?
I believe that's the number. Don't quote me on that, but it's right around that
somewhere
time.
around there. And if you're the one that's been genuinely and sincerely trying to help them on their own, when they get tired, at the very least, they're going to let you come over and present your marketing presentation to them.
Awesome. And can you give us a few success stories? Because I know that you've converted a few for sale by owners into your own listings that you've sold.
Yes.
And wasn't there one where they still sold their house, but they used you on the buy side?
Correct. I had a couple for sale by owners last year that I helped that did follow my advice and got the house sold on their own, and they turned around and bought with me. I've had for sale by owners that have gotten tired of trying on their own. Most notably, just a month ago, I had a for sale by owner that had a whole bunch of showings, one offer, but it wasn't acceptable. They got tired of trying. They called me because I tried to help them on their own, and we got a full price cash offer on day one
Fantastic.
once they listed with me.
Amazing.
So it does happen, like, and they were ecstatic. You know what I mean? And how could they not be?
You're the hero.
Um, exactly. And everything I said was, you know, for their benefit. I wasn't trying to get them to list with me. And I think that that was the difference between me and every other realtor that contacted them.
Yes, and you are authentic and genuine. And what is your system? If you're sending out 75 letters a week or something, you know, crazy like that, what is your system to keep track of everything to make sure nothing falls through the hoops?
I keep an Excel spreadsheet. I make an Excel spreadsheet for my for sale by owners. You know, if anyone wants to see how I put that together, I'm happy to share that with them. But yeah, this way I know, like for example, yesterday, I do this every day. You know, I set a couple hours aside every morning to send out my letters for that day. Pretty much any prospecting method you're going to do, just be consistent with it. Don't try it for a day and then say, oh, I didn't get any leads, so this must not work. It takes time. Everything you're going to do takes time.
Yeah. It's the old saying from Mickey Johnson: be patient and engage in consistent activity. That's what
Right.
we have to do every single day. You know, every day. If you weigh yourself every day after going to the gym, you're going to lose your mind, right? You have to be patient, do the exercises, trust the process, right? And very similar to weight loss or working out or any type of martial art or sport, it's a layered approach, right? You don't just run on the treadmill, you run on the treadmill, you eat right, and you do a little weight training. With real estate, you don't just post on Facebook on Monday morning and expect to get 10,000 leads by Tuesday. You have to post on Monday morning. You have to be intentional. You have to do your Popeyes. You have to join different clubs, different associations, work your COI. You have to work your expired list, your for sale by owner list. And you constantly have to work that layered approach like lasagna, as we were talking about earlier. And I think Darlene's going to make the lasagna for us later.
Yeah, you got it.
Perfect. Thank you.
It has
And
to be fun.
Sam, about the expires and for sale by owner, what is your take? What is your tactics for those?
I mean, I think the trying different approaches, whether you are making a phone call, you're doing the handwritten note after you speak to them on the phone, maybe, you don't hear from them, but you keep them on your COI, and maybe do a Christmas card or a holiday Popeye or just something that does still keep you top of mind. It does kind of change when you're limited to the information that you have, whether it's just an address or a phone number and an address, but no email. So, you can kind of change it up from there. But like Chris said, the consistency, and I think just not, it's kind of one of those things where you feel like you're working at something and it's like, okay, yeah, I've been doing this for a while, but then 2 years down the road, they call you. So it's one of those kinds of things.
The theme last year in Nashville for our conference was the forever agent. And that's what we all should look at each other, as for our clients, that we are their forever agent. And I've always said this, that if you don't get invited to the housewarming party, if you don't get text messages of updates that they're doing to the home, if you don't get a phone call that they're pregnant and they, keep it under wraps because mom and dad doesn't know yet, you failed as an agent. All you really did was take an order, and you were a transactional agent as opposed to a relationship agent. You want to become their forever agent. So no matter what, 5 years, 10 years, 6 years, anytime somebody mentions real estate, you are the first and only person that comes to your clients' minds. It's never their job to remember. It's always our job to remind them about real estate. And I know that Brian had a point that he wanted to share.
This is just wonderful stuff, by the way. I've written down about a page and a half of notes from you folks. It's just great to learn from you. Two things that jump out at me. One is, well, many things jump out, but two that I wanted to mention just or emphasize. One is Chris Donato. You mentioned having to change tactics. I think it was from cold calling to other things. I just read maybe just before Christmas, I think, some things on brain development and learning styles and I for adults. And one of the things that hit me so hard, like a ton of bricks, is that if we don't not just verbalize, but it's reinforced through writing, journaling, even just writing a paragraph. If we don't memorialize changes, if we don't note and emphasize and repeat and share the lessons that we learned during certain times, because in my case, for example, I have about to be 55 years of habits, right? And so I've done things certain ways with certain changes, but in times like this, I have different actions, different lessons that I've learned and so on. Those lessons have happened in this much time compared to 55 years of habits. We have to memorialize, we have to point out and illuminate the changes in the lessons, or we'll go back to what we used to do. And those lessons have a much less likelihood, let's say. There's a much lower likelihood of those lessons staying learned. How's that for a tongue twister? And I think it's absolutely critical that we take moments almost every day now during this time and recognize what we've tried, what we've had to do, what we've had to learn, what's been difficult, what's been overcome. But let's go back to what's been difficult. If something's difficult and challenging, it means you probably should be trying it, right? If it's easy, you could do it in your sleep. So the second thing I want to share is Ryan mentioned 3,200 realtors and needing to differentiate yourself. Well, it ties right into what Darlene said, about those 90-year-olds. The 90-year-olds have lived long and experienced rich lives. These are not people that have floated through life. Rotary is not about people who sit in the back seat and just wait to be delivered to the next place they are, no matter what age they're in. They're doers, and they're people that want to contribute and do the right thing. So they're not just coming to Darlene because you're the only realtor they know. They're coming to you and they're willing to give you leads and support you because they know you care and they know your heart's in the right place, and they know that you are authentic. I want to contrast that, and then I'm going to stop, but I want to contrast that with so many brand new realtors that I talked to, the latest one being yesterday through Morgan. Not a bad person, but a person who said to me, I have been promised 24 leads a month by another company. And I said, well, two messages to you, sir. One, take it if you want, but also realize that the same 5 or 6 million transactions have been done this last year that were done 10 years ago. But realtors have been sold 15 or 20 times that every year. Almost 90 million realtor leads have been sold by the Zillows and Realtor.com and Trulia and others. So they're selling us phony ads, repeat ads. And when you hear from someone who's a big zealot or enthusiast or evangelist who says, I'm making tons of money on Zillow, it's very much like everyone has an uncle who smoked 3 packs of cigarettes for 60 years and still lived happily and ran 3 marathons at 95. Okay. Just because you know someone who did it doesn't mean that's the norm. And so I really want to stress what you're hearing today from real winners, real life people doing it right, is what it takes. No smoke screens, no smoke and mirrors. As Darlene Bauer just said or intimated, the things that you're doing, Darlene, are not necessarily easy. There are other things that you may want to do on those times you're doing the food drives and other things, but you're doing the right thing. And so that's what makes us, differentiates us. So that's what I wanted to share. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your screen, Darlene.
Darlene Prince, that's your new grandson. He's beautiful.
Thanks for sharing. I don't know if she's still there.
I don't know that she knows she shared.
I think she does. She's looking right now. I think she's looking to figure out. But, you know, as Brian was mentioning earlier, you know, a lot of it is that syndrome. And Brian, remember we went to a conference last year and it was the former football player, and he was talking about it being, you know, it's always been done that way or that won't work. You know, get rid of that from your vocabulary, because you're always going to have the naysayers, the people that are going to say, well, that's ridiculous, or social media, that doesn't work. So just remove that. And I can't concentrate right now because all I see is a beautiful baby. And I don't know how to end screen share. Oh, stop participants from sharing. There we go. Perfect.
There you go.
Sorry about that, Darlene. I could look at that little boy forever and ever. So, you know, as we kind of go through this, you know, I want to see if there's any questions. And I know Donato had a specific question we were talking about yesterday that everybody, you know, might want to listen to.
I did. And this was actually a question for you and Brian and any other manager. But so how much time would you recommend that agents spend on any given form of lead generation? And, you know, double-ended question. Do you recommend that new agents try all forms of lead generation while they figure out what works best for them?
I don't know if Brian's still here. He might be. Oh,
I
there he is.
am. That's a great question. I'll just say one thing. You should definitely not try every kind of, it's not the popular answer, but you definitely, if you chase two chickens, you're not going to catch either one of them. Okay. People say
Great
rabbits,
analogy.
I'm using the Rocky analogy. You chase two rabbits, two chickens, you can't catch either one of them. Here's what you work on with, first of all, what makes us unique as a company, and it's been hard the last year or so because of this COVID stuff, but we're still managing different ways. And we'll get back to what we've done in the past, which is one-on-one and small group coaching, but added to what we've learned. But your question is a great one, Chris. I think that you don't focus on everything. You work with your coach, you work with your manager, you don't look to every other realtor to see. You can learn from them, but don't try to be them. So if, you know, Sherry Pernartz, who's been wildly successful over the years, we already have a Sherry. We don't need another Sherry. That may not be a good example, but we have lots of different people and we don't need another one of anybody, right? So what I'm suggesting is you talk to your coach and you focus about 70 or 80% of your energy on your center of influence, because that's where your biggest bang for the buck is. Too many people find focusing on one major group too long, too much of a grind. So they want to say, if I just had 5 or 6 different streams of leads, and that's fine because it's frenetic and it allows us to not have to focus too long on one thing. But if you're only getting a trickle out of all those other faucets, and you have the potential to get a full stream of leads potentially from your COI, but it's boring and it's a grind, then you do the boring grind and you dabble on the other things, but not until you have your footwork, the work you need done on your major focus first. So that's what I got for that.
And I agree with that. You know, the old saying, you know, what equipment works the best, the equipment that you use. You know, you double down on your strengths. You know, we're going to use a basketball analogy, for instance. You know, Shaquille O'Neal will never be working on a 3-point game. The dominant center, he's great in the low block. So he's going to work on that the whole entire time. Contrast, Stephen Curry is not going to be a center anytime soon. So he continues to work on his 3-point game. He's doubling down on what he's good at and making himself great at. It's the old book, From Good to Great. We have a few last questions, and then we're going to do our Jerry Springer-esque final thought. Donato, if you can go back to day one, what would you do differently? And now we have a
Oh
lot of
my
agents
gosh, yeah.
where, for instance, we have Adam Newell, who is literally day one. Scott Siegel, he's day 5. John Jutsky is there. Muhammad is brand new. What could you do? What would you do differently day one?
I would not have waited to work on my COI. Much to Brian's point, 70 to 80%. If I had spent that much time on my COI in my first year, I would have closed more than one deal. And again, I started that and I got my license in 2018, closed one deal. 2019 is when I started working on my COI. And as a result, I closed 12. That was in my second year. So same thing in 2020. I mean, I closed almost 20. So, you have to work on your COI. I know it doesn't sound like fun calling your friends and family to tell them that you're a real estate agent, but believe me when I tell you, it's worth every second that you'll spend on it.
Awesome. And one of the tips and tricks that I learned from a gentleman, Joe Ferry, who is a senior vice president, phenomenal agent, phenomenal person. When you're calling your COI, don't mask it, because this happens to us all the time. And I feel kind of taken advantage of, where somebody calls and says, "Oh, hey, how's Landon? How's everything going? Oh, and by the way, I'm looking to sell they pitch something, right? They're selling the body wraps, or they're selling a car, whatever the case. They didn't care. They genuinely didn't care how my son was doing. They just used that as an entryway into the conversation so they could pitch their sales pitch, right? So instead, if you are talking to somebody, if I call Morgan and I haven't talked to her in a little while, I say, "Hey, Morgan, listen, I just got, my real estate license. I'm working with Berkshire Hathaway. This is 100% a sales call. Just want to let you know that right from the beginning." You go on with your pitch, you go on with your sales call, and then at the end you say, "Okay, well, how's the family? How's everything going? How are you doing?" Right? Because it doesn't mask it with the phoniness in the beginning. So just take that, food for thought. Sam, what is your average day like in real estate?
I mean, it's definitely different, but what it used to be was, I think I was taught from the very beginning that going to the office makes a huge difference. This whole working from home thing kind of threw me in the beginning because I liked being around people. I know it's nice when the agents, like my desk is in the bullpen and everything, but the agents that have offices, they keep the doors open and you can kind of hear when they're on the phone with someone, how they handle different things. I can hear Bree on the phone in the front part of the office. I just like being able to hear and see different things going on. But going to the office, really kind of dedicating the time to spend there, and it kind of keeps me, I find more things to do, I think, when I am in the office and making my lists and trying to stay on top of everything, whether that's coming up with the content for a newsletter or planning social media for the week or whatever, going through and finding the phone numbers that I wanted to make calls for in a day. Or I know I went through and wrote down every Facebook friend I had, which probably could have been done in a lot easier way, but I made a list and would go through 10 people a day, go specifically search their page, because whatever, again, with these algorithms, you don't see half of your friends' stuff. So going to their page specifically, making sure, Brian gave this tip a while ago, just like and comment on their stuff. The more your name shows up, the more they'll see your posts as well, I think, is what was supposed to happen. So I'm hoping that's still what happens. But just, getting into the office, I think, was one of my biggest things for the day.
I completely agree with that.
And obviously right now it's hard to get into the office, but that's why we have the technology. We have Zoom. So set up a Zoom with some of your peers. I know that you do that in Clifton Park on Fridays, where you and your peers just hop on. It's almost like a happy hour of sorts. I know that a few of the folks in Niskayuna do the same thing, where, we watch D'Onofrio drink scotch and smoke cigars, but we also talk about real estate. It's that camaraderie. It's that togetherness that we all like. And Darlene, last question for you, and it's a twofold question. What was the biggest challenge you faced when you first started? How did you overcome that?
Knowing, but the biggest challenge I think I faced was knowing where to start because there were so many ideas. It goes back to the, you've got to go with what works for you. And in the beginning, I thought I had to do everything. I thought, I would write these things down and be like, I've got to do this, this, this. And it was just too much. And I think I was in my own way a lot. I wish I'd done that differently. The day one, I got to go back and answer the question you asked Chris though. What would you do differently if you could, on day one? Partner, I think for brand new agents that haven't done any deals before, or agents that have only done a couple, it's really smart to partner with somebody on your first listing and purchase. And you make less, but you will learn so much and you'll have that built-in coach who wants to see you succeed. I wish I had done that because you could actually like walk through the process with somebody and say, so why did the cadence of the deal? So why did you tell the other agent this at this point? All of those little things are still challenging to me. And I wish I'd partnered. I've partnered with a couple of agents now in our company on deals, and I've learned so much from them. But I wish I had done my very first deal that way. I think it would have gotten me out of the gate faster.
It's that cadence of accountability, right? You also want to have an accountability partner. Brian and I are accountability partners to each other. We talk to each other almost every single day. What did we do today? You all on this phone call, whether it's, cross office or inter office, you should all have an accountability partner and hold each other accountable, whether it's daily or weekly. What did you do today? What did you do this week that's going to lead to real estate sales in the future? Because every single day, if we don't refill our lead pipeline, if we don't refill our stock of seeds that could eventually grow, 6 months later from now, we're going to have nothing. 3 months later from now, we're going to have nothing. So continue to work on that. The final thoughts that I have, and then we're going to make an introduction of who's going to be on for next week. And these are just simple, quick things. It's from the 7 levels of communication, a bunch of one-liners that, Brian and I over the years have kind of created on our own. Schedule your priorities and prioritize your schedule, which is super important. So because we're talking about lead generation and because I'm big on actually acting on something right then and there, everybody for the next 30 seconds, open up your Google Calendar, put it on a piece of paper, whatever the case is, and I want you to block off 2 hours per day or an hour per day, whatever is convenient for you, of when you're going to prospect. So Rick, if you say Monday from 10 to 11 or weekly, daily from 10 to 11, that means you're not checking emails from 10 to 11. That means that you're not, checking your bank account from 10 to 11. You're not fielding phone calls from 10 to 11. From 10 to 11, you are 100% prospecting for those hours by any of the means that our panel talked about today. So ready, 30 seconds, put it down your calendar, go.
I'd just like to add how important this really, really is. Get yourself into the habit. Seriously, you'll benefit so much from it. If it's something that's going to be a challenge for you, just get yourself into the routine of doing this. This is another thing I wish I did in my first year.
Perfect. Thank you, Chris. Good. I see a lot of people writing down. I don't see Jim Ambrose. Maybe it's in his brain. I don't know.
I wrote it down. I wrote it down when you were talking.
All right, good. Just want to make sure. I got to keep up on you, buddy.
I know. I need it.
Good.
While you're writing things, I'm going to chime in about this. How to win friends and influence people. If you guys haven't read, so I've been in sales my whole career and I'm not salesy. I like to think I'm not salesy, but this book will teach you how to not be salesy, but to really care about other people. It's really a great read. It's been in print for like 80 years. You might want to, you got to change things up a little bit, but it's a great read.
Who was the author?
Dale Carnegie.
Dale Carnegie,
Dale
How to Win
Carnegie.
Friends and Influence People.
The original sales coach.
Yes.
All right. So number 2 is from my friend, Jay Christiana's father, Jeff Christiana, I have an amazing story with him with when I used to own the gym and everything and how I originally met him. Huge impact on my career. And one of the things that he said, and it just stuck with me forever, refrain from getting ready to get ready. And what that means is, did you make your sales call? No, I was organizing my desk. Did you do this? No, I was getting my COI in order. Like, stop making excuses before you do the action and just do the, as Brian says, do the bloom in action, right? Just go ahead and do it. The first time
Stop getting ready to get ready. That's what he says, right?
What was that?
Stop getting ready to get ready.
Stop getting ready to get ready. Did you make your phone calls? No, I was just organizing my desk for the 37th time today.
I'm guilty of doing that.
Yep. Because
I get it.
Again, we always are in fear of getting rejected or hung up on, right? But in my opinion, success is on that opposite side of fear. We're scared of things all the time, but once you get over that fear and you actually do the action, it's success, 100%. Whether you fail forward or just move the needle a little bit and learn from the experience. And last but not least, and this is something I've been, using with Donato and Gina and Taylor. I actually yelled at Taylor the other day from my Niskayuna office about changing your vocabulary. Don't say things like, oh, I'll try to do that, or I'll see if it works. You're already assuming your failure. Instead, just change your vocabulary day by day that I will do this or I will succeed. Those little things, when you put that into your subconscious, is going to pay dividends in the future. And you're going to really rock out. And I know that Taylor, instead of him saying, oh, I'll try to reach out to the client, said, you know what, I will reach out to the client and I will get this done. And it got done. Right.
Yeah. And it's not even something that you do like consciously. It's like when I say I'll try to do something, that's something that I've just kind of built up over the years. And I just do it automatically now. But yeah, it's super important to get that into your head.
Awesome. All right, I'm currently writing my 5th handwritten note during this meeting. Scott Cross can back me up. Good job, Emily. I appreciate you doing your handwritten notes during this meeting. Had to bust your chops a little bit on that one. So that's it. What we're going to have next week, and I'm looking at them right now. Listing master, listing extraordinaire. I don't even know how he does it, but he's going to teach us some of his tips and tricks next week for coffee and conversation. My good friend from up north, Todd Skimmerhorn. Todd is on the call. I can see him right there. Is that a cat you got there, Scott? Todd?
Yeah, yeah, that's Theo right there, my little man, Theo.
Theo.
Yeah, he's a good cat.
So Todd, real quick, how many listings do you have right now?
Right now I got somewhere around 40, maybe give or take.
Give or take 40 listings. So
yeah.
That's the teaser for next week. And, Todd has 40 listings. Who would want to be an accountability partner to Todd? Somebody like that. Show of hands. I know Donato raised his hand. Nell raised her hand. Gina raised her hand. Jim Ambrose. Wow, we got a lot of people raising. Oh, Sharika. Sharika, I'm going to have you call Todd, and you guys are going to be accountability partners for the next week. All right. You and him are going to talk, whether it's daily, whether it's, you guys set up the schedule. I'm going to text both of you in a group message, and we're going to do it. And believe it or not, our goal was 15 folks. We had 30. So absolutely fantastic. I hope that this continues on week over week. It should grow because your job for next week is to not only do the things we talked about, but also invite somebody from your office or from the company that you know. Let's have that inter-office connections kind of going abundant, and let's all work together for the common goal of selling thousands and thousands and thousands of homes. So with that being said, I hope everybody has a great day. I will talk to you all soon, and take care.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks, Ryan.